Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our innovation and tech segment brought to you by Caldwell Soames, today we're joined by our regular contributor, Paul Caldwell, chairman and CEO of Caldwell Soames. And today he's joined by my good friend, Charlie Walk, CEO of Aspen Artist Group, former president of Epic and Republic Records, host of the top-rated Walk This Way podcast. Today, we're chatting about how artificial intelligence will affect the music industry and what this means for artists, labels, and streamers. Now, music producers are still divided on how to use artificial intelligence in the industry. With rapid developments in AI and the implementation of the technology unilaterally across business sectors, there is heated debate in Hollywood music scene over whether AI should be used in music production and to what extent. Now, the debate intensified recently when a TikTok user by the handle of Ghostwriter977 posted a 2-minute video that sounded a lot like Drake in The Weeknd. Now, the clip went viral with more than 15 million views on TikTok and upwards of 600,000 streams on various streaming platforms before, of course, it was taken down. Now, the song, called Heart on My Sleeve, so closely resembled something that the two artists would have produced themselves that it starkly highlighted a much larger issue in the music industry. Now, on the flip side, AI technology does provide with many helpful applications, such as systems being used for composition through machine learning, which can generate musical ideas that can then be refined, of course, by a human touch. And one of my favorite use cases, AI algorithms are now being used to create tailored playlists on streaming services like Spotify, Apple Music, and Pandora. Here to chat artificial intelligence impacting the music industry are Charlie Walk and Paul Caldwell. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, Zen.
Zen, thank you for having us. And Paul, you're a legend. So blessed to be in your brilliant Wall Street mindset. So thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for being here, Charlie. Thank you.
All right, Charlie, let's start with you. Now, the golden question: what is the place of artificial intelligence in the creative processes that encompass music making? Meaning, some artists embrace the technology, noting the creative and time-saving benefits of AI, while others, generally Hollywood's veterans, assert it has no place in the music industry. What do you say to this?
If I were running a major record company as an employee, I would hate this, right? Why? It's just a revenue game. So it's all subjective at the end of the day. If I were running a major record company and Drake was one of my artists, I would be very upset that AI came in and made a great song that hundreds of thousands of people loved that I didn't have a piece of. So I would go to the streaming platforms and say, take this off. It sounds too much like an artist we've paid millions of dollars for. So there's really a lot of politics and commerce conversations that go into this. If you're an independent artist, no one really cares. And what I say is that song, the fake Drake record, was a really good song. That's why it's streamed. Maybe Drake should go make a deal with whoever was the AI team that made that record, and he should go sing on it and make it. That's how I'm thinking, because it's very hard to substantiate the fact that something sounds like something else unless it's an exact ripoff of a copyright, right? And that's not what this is. It's a brand new song. I'm with the independent AI side of things on this. I think it's a free world and you can do whatever you want. And there's going to be, I don't think the answer is just to pull it off just because you're a big, massive music machine and you're not getting compensated for something that you didn't make.
Great point. Definitely, AI is you have a front-running argument for using AI in music production is that, furthers the creative process, like you just said, but of course it does come with major issues. Now, Paul, AI is a hot topic in so many industries right now, but in music or the arts in general, it's an especially sensitive conversation, like we're just talking about. And some people fear that they'll lose their jobs. Others worry that the value of human creativity is going to be diminished even more than it already has been. And many are concerned that they'll be left behind as technology once again makes entire business models obsolete. So AI raises questions about things like work ethic and authenticity, especially in the music industry. And one might start to question how artists are even making music and if it's even them actually making it. Now, as an avid investor in media, what are your concerns for AI-driven investments?
Well, I think AI just in general it's like anything else. It depends on, every transaction's a good one. It depends on which side of the table you're sitting on. And I think with the AI environment, it's quite similar to that. I mean, you have now kids write their papers, their term papers in high school are being written by AI platforms. You can get in the chat G's, as I call them, because there are more than one now that go out and do these kinds of things. And so from that perspective, it's interesting. You've seen AI in the arts, in the visual arts for a couple of years now, creating wonderful new artwork, paintings. Some of that moved into the NFT craze and were actually digitized in NFTs, but it was all created by AI technology. I'm sort of I'm in alignment with Charlie with regard to the entertainment business and AI, because I really think that there are basically, in the music business, you have three pillars, essentially. You have production, you have publishing, and you have distribution, and you have publishing. And if you really look at who's making the complaining here about these kinds of things, it's like, your big record labels, these people that make these investments in these big production budgets. But if you ever read one of those contracts, the way they recoup from those artists is very interesting too, not always in the best interest of the artist. Tom Petty, I think, would be the first to tell you that if he were here. I mean, at the end of the day, though, I think it's great opportunity for collaboration, because if one could think about an AI written composition, what if a songwriter could upload their song into an AI platform that could then build a new composition around that newly written song? So the writer he doesn't need to bring in, a studio band or whatever to do this. So AI has a place here. I don't know that anyone knows all the answers. I think there are tremendous risks socially, geopolitically, economically, in AI in the bigger picture. I'm sort of in the Elon Musk camp on that particular thing.
There you go. And to your point, actually, I want to get Charlie to react on this because I want to be mindful of the time. Charlie, recently Grimes was quoted saying, hey, listen, I'll split 50% royalties on any successful AI generated song that uses my voice. And she was referring to, of course, this headliner that we're talking about, how the fake Drake and the fake Weeknd song Hard on My Sleeve was, raised questions for the industry. And she went on to say, same deal as I would with any artist I collaborate with. Feel free to use my voice without penalty. I have no label and no legal bindings. What do you say to this?
Well, it's what I said before. She has no label, so she's open for business, right? And so I think it does come down to very similar to what Paul was saying. It's going to have a place. There are going to be rights holders that create this, especially on an independent level. And what I would say is try to be less obvious. I think doing a fake Drake or The Weeknd is sort of some copycat stuff that's a little bit unfair and a little bit of trickiness, right? It adds trickiness to the consumer and the social aspect of it. So that's where my heart sort of goes there. But
how do you foresee AI impacting the way these artists create their music and the way fans consume it?
So I think, music is audio for the most part, right? And there'll be video and whatever else, but you hear a song and a melody and you sing it. I think it's going to compete with songwriters. And I think there's a happy place where both can sort of meet up and get there faster from an idea perspective. I think AI will be important, but I still think you can't replace human emotion and tricky, amazing melodies and lyrics that touch the heart and soul. I think there'll be some cases where maybe I'm wrong, but the truth of the matter is it'll be a combination of art and science. And I think they can live together within harmony, and the rules will be you sort of figured out. Right now, it's a little bit of a awkward time when you think of when you think of fake Drake and fake Weeknd. That's someone trying to be a wise guy, right? And then what happened in that situation was people liked it. So in the streaming world, it's not like radio where a programmer decided what's going to go into rotation and there's repetition, right? So a typical pop station plays 12 songs really over and over and over as it relates to Arbitron, right? For diary purposes. Streaming is a record store. So if one of these AI songs gets hundreds and hundreds of thousands of streams, it's because somebody liked it, a consumer.
Yeah.
So you can either embrace, and it's very hard to get hundreds of thousands of streams across the world. And so if you're doing that, by the way, certain Drake songs don't get that because not every Drake song everyone loves. So I say embrace it. And I would say before, you take it off the platform, I want to find out who made it, who did it, what tech was it, and and if I were, on Drake's team, let's have a meeting. Somebody
Yes,
loved this
exactly.
song. I
Let's
mean,
have a
that's
meeting.
I just because I don't think you can fight it. Like Grimes you'll see Grimes put out an amazing song. Maybe it betters her music. Maybe she hasn't had a hit in a while, and she goes that route and goes 50-50 with a tech guy making the best music in the world from an AI perspective, and then her stuff rises. That's interesting, and that's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And now, interestingly enough, and this leads me, we have about 2 minutes left, but Paul, depending on the genre, of course, I think we're going to see a lot of AI generated music occupying spaces in the streaming industry. For example, lo-fi music is a good candidate, but for music you want to properly listen to, as opposed to music you play in the background while you do something else, I don't think artificial intelligence will really become relevant per se. But I'd like to get your opinion. How do you think AI will impact streaming services?
I think it'll impact streaming services dramatically because I think AI can also be integrated in a real-time environment to adapt to a particular environment. So if you think about that and you think it's a rainy day and the music in the elevator and in the office building can adapt automatically and create new tunes that make people more happy and upbeat, and that's in real time. That doesn't necessarily happen through a streaming service. Also, I would say that and finally, I would say that I believe that AI will certainly find its way into the space. There will be a place. And in answer to your question about security, how do you securitize? I just envision something like marrying an AI let's say an AI music machine to a tokenization platform that creates fungible or non-fungible tokenized assets out of this music, and then the smart contracts identify who the real contributors are. So maybe an executive producer from now on is even a different thing.
Yeah.
And I just think there's a whole new space in play here, and I'm very enthusiastic about it. We're trying to find our way around in the fund here to find the opportunities that might exist, that are meaningful, and that's basically where I'm at with it. I think the jury's out, but I'm not sure it won't always be out with AI because it's going to reinvent itself.
Of course, just like everything reinvents itself. Well, listen, we're gonna cut to a commercial break. For those of you that want to listen to the extended segment, do check it out on YouTube. Charlie, Paul, thank you so much for coming on. It was such a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. My pleasure.
Guys, that was our innovation and tech segment brought to you by Caldwell Soames. That was the awesome Charlie Walk, CEO of Aspen Music Company, and that was Paul Caldwell, Chairman and CEO of Caldwell Soames. Now, I have a concern that people will begin relying way too much on this technology rather than going fully through the ups and downs of a creative process, which is usually what can be felt through the works once released. And keeping the human element, to Charlie's point, and touch is extremely, extremely essential and hopefully will never diminish. My concerns regarding AI are that this software could begin to be used in a way that promotes full replacement of any human element. Creating music, marketing plans, and rollouts require cohesiveness, but also a human experience. Finding ways to connect with fans, family, and friends through music is one of the most important factors of why we all love and listen to music. It influences and inspires us with a feeling of love and compassion. I'm not sure a machine can ever truly learn that, no matter what level of sophistication. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OG Pay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OG Pay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out ogpay.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. Welcome back to our innovation and tech segment. We're chatting with the awesome Charlie Walk and Paul Caldwell. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Thanks, Ed.
All right, let's dive in. So, extended segment here. Let's talk about where we are headed when it comes to music creation, distribution, and marketing. So this is a question for both of you. You will answer it separately. Charlie, we'll start with you. So technology is never going to stop moving forward, and AI is just innovation in technology. But in the music industry or anything in the arts, the language between creativity and technology hasn't been refined. And the creatives get lost because they don't understand how to navigate tech. And the tech people don't necessarily understand music language. So they definitely both need each other, and tech is not going to stop moving forward. Now, what types of questions do you think artificial intelligence raises when it comes to music creation, distribution, and marketing?
Um, Very simple. It can get you there faster by understanding algorithms, studying all of the big songs that actually touch people. And I think you'll end up seeing artists, real artists, using it in combination with their writing skills to better music. Also, remember, and I've said this: stars are born, not made. I was just in Mexico, and I spoke at a big conference, and I said to everyone, "Do you guys understand that the next biggest stars are already out there? They don't know they don't know how to get to you." And I'm not talking about American Idol or Britain's Got Talent or Mexico's Got Talent. How do they go and get to you? But the stars are already out there. You take a star that is out there trying to get attention, and you match them with the right AI as it relates to music functionality, popular song and sound. It becomes much more interesting, right? Because they may not have access to the biggest producers in the world, Taney, Max Martin. For those of you that don't know, they're huge producers in the music space that have had multiple number one smashes for years and years and years. So I think that's where it becomes interesting. The idea of actually having more stars with more hits allows for more competition and more commerce across streaming, touring, merch, and all the other things that make up an artist's revenue.
Great answer. Paul, I'd love to hear your perspective here. So, when you think of these questions, these were very, very specific answers to questions that somebody from Charlie's perspective and the path that he's walked in this industry. Very good questions, well thought out. But what types of questions do you think that AI raises when it does come to this music creation and distribution and marketing from your perspective?
I think from a production perspective, then it's exactly. I think Charlie is spot on. I think you get a faster, a more expeditious outcome. Maybe you can get to know quicker, but I think also it'll provide a format, a method for that artist that is out there, that is that next star, to actually shine a little bit brighter, maybe a little bit faster, and to get recognized a little bit sooner. And I think that's where the cycle begins from a production point of view. From a distribution point of view, I think it's becomes, instead of a one to many, like label to many, no matter the method, whether the context is streaming or or whatever, an MP3 file, I mean MP4 file, whatever it is, doesn't matter. I think that's one to many. I think you're going to get to a many environment with AI, on many people consuming many different kinds of things. One thing that came to mind for me was the two cellos, performance of AC/DC songs, and how cool that actually was when that just happened. It was like this: let's put a couple of guys that know how to play the cello really well, and let's let them do Thunderstruck or something. It was awesome. But I think in an AI environment, that's an everyday occurrence that gets created. So I think that from a distribution point of view, it's many to many. I think from a publishing point of view, wow, that's really, I think, where the battle gets fought. And I've always told people, if I was ever going to invest in entertainment, it would be in publishing, because I actually believe that, from my perspective, it's last money in, first money out. And from a financial perspective, it makes a lot of sense, and it's not as risky as publishing.
Well, not everybody understands the waterfall the way
risky
you
as
do.
not as risky as production. Let me clarify.
Yeah. Yeah, no, not everybody understands the waterfall the way you do, because you also have that business mindset. Well, thank you so much for such insight, gentlemen. We are out of time. Love getting your perspective on things, and the jury's out. You're all for artificial intelligence, and so am I. I think this is a revolutionary way of doing something more effective, more efficient, faster, and getting it to the masses. So I echo your sentiment. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
That was our innovation and tech segment brought to you by Caldwell Soames and OGPay.com. And that was the legendary Charlie Walk, CEO of Aspen Artist Group and host of Walk This Way podcast. You can definitely check Charlie out on the gram at Charlie Walk, or you could head directly to his website at charliewalk.com. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.